Now at 6. After months of campaigning, it's time to count the ballots.
Every vote counts.
Hope we just all kind of come together and remember we're all Americans.
Indiana's polls are now closed, and soon we'll get the first election results.
We're live at the Ramada Inn with GOP leadership to discuss the races they are keeping an eye on.
From the local and state to who will be the next president of the United States, we're watching the races that matter to you.
And I'm live at Election Board headquarters with a first look at how early voting and absentee ballots impact this election.
You're watching WANE 15's News at 6, your local election headquarters.
And with polls now closed, the ballot counting begins.
The Allen County Election Board will be doing that throughout the evening at Memorial Coliseum. WANE 15's Chris Darby will be at the Coliseum all night long with analysis of turnout and more. Plus, our entire team of journalists will join us with coverage of the big races. Let's start off at the Coliseum. Now, Chris, I know it is early yet, but how is counting going so far?
Well, right now, yeah, we are in that transition area. People are starting to arrive, waiting for the totals from today. We'll have more on the timeline of the counting here in a minute, but this was the area where that early voting was the past couple of weeks, and now they're sorting through really the early voting and the absentee mail-in voting, making sure all of that's in order to count those numbers. Now, I have been in touch throughout the day, and as we're hanging out here with the head of the election board, Beth DeLug, she tells me somewhere between 72 and 73,000 early votes were cast here in Allen County this election through mail-in ballots or in-person voting. So far today, we just got the number a couple of minutes ago, more than 63,000 people have voted in person today. That's a little bit changed from the norm for sure. More early votes happening than the day of voting, about 10,000 different. That total amount of votes should be somewhere between all of it, around 152,000 of 269,000 people who are able to vote. So that's about a 70% turnout expected. Something else interesting, Doug tells us, she's noticed more people are voting quickly, a sign that minds are really made up as people have been approaching the booths. Slow lines out at some of the precincts have been really more of the result of the check-in process, not necessarily the voting process. No unusual problems have been reported today, mainly technical issues that have been handled quickly. DeLug has been in touch with some law enforcement about any potential security issues, but that has not really been a topic that's come up at all. Now, I mentioned the timeline. What we're looking forward here tonight, obviously, is the focus on voting that was done today and early in-person voting. Those mail-in ballots will be counted up until about 10 o'clock tonight, but then they'll jump back in on that at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. So we'll know sometime beyond tomorrow morning what that final total looks like. Live at the Coliseum, Chris Darby, WANE 15 News.
Thanks, Chris. Now, many Hoosiers think there's already a clear winner in the Indiana gubernatorial race, but you just never know. The race for governor is between Republican incumbent Eric Holcomb, Democrat Dr. Woody Myers, and Libertarian Donald Rainwater. We've been chatting with all three campaigns today, and the coronavirus pandemic is the most urgent issue. But COVID-19 gave a huge blow to the economy, so that's also a primary focus for the candidates if they win. To address it, Holcomb says he'll continue his Next Level Jobs Indiana initiative. Myers will focus on new industries like electric cars and personal protective equipment. And Coldwater says he'll give less attention to corporations and help individual Hoosiers.
And many hundreds of thousands have lost their jobs. And so we're trying to make sure that the folks who have lost their jobs get back into a career that's as good or better than the last one that they had if the job is gone forever.
We're in a recession now, and although my opponent doesn't want to use that word, that's what it is. It's a recession. And so we've got to rethink how we are approaching the economy in Indiana. And to me, that means targeting new industries to bring in both in the short term and long term.
We need to reinvigorate our economy through reestablishing the foundation of the family farm and the small business here in Indiana.
We'll continue to be in touch with all three campaigns as this historic night unfolds. Tara and Dirk, back to you.
Kaitor, Chris, thanks to you both. Team coverage continues with the big congressional race for Northeast Indiana. That's District 3.
WANE 15's Brianna Brownlee joins us live from the Ramada Plaza on Washington Center Road, where she is following the race for Congress between Representative Jim Banks and challenger Chip Cold Iron Bree.
Dirk, Tara, Congressman Jim Banks has won this seat for the past 2 terms, and tonight he is looking to three-peat. However, his challenger, Democratic nominee Chip Codern, is looking to make his debut on the political stage. Now, before becoming the congressman, Representative Banks served as an Indiana state senator. As for Codern, he is a public education teacher and former healthcare worker. I reached out to both men to see how they are doing as the polls close, and Congressman Banks told me he is so overwhelmed and encouraged by so many people today. And as the polls close, he is confident that he will have a good night. Democratic nominee Chip Codern says he is running through the finish line, and he is proud of his team. He adds no matter the outcome, they ran a race of honesty, service, and accountability. I also asked both men what would be their first line of business if reelected.
We have a lot of work to do right after Election Day in the lame duck session to address COVID relief measures, providing relief to small businesses and helping those who need it most. So
introduce a bill for health care to make sure that we have affordable health care and not have to worry about going bankrupt when we go to the doctor or have to visit the emergency room.
Now the polls are closed, and as your local election headquarters, we'll keep you updated on social media and our website all night long. Reporting live, Brianna Brownlee, WANE 15 News.
Bree, thanks. Remember, WANE 15 wants to hear from you. You can share your election stories, your pictures, your videos on our Reported feature on the WANE 15 app and on WANE.com. Just click the Reported button and then follow the prompts.
So with tonight's election, Indiana's GOP is hoping the Hoosier state remains in the red.
That includes the State House, the 7-2 lead in the U.S. House of Representatives, and the governor's seat. WANE 15's Taylor Williams also joins us live from the Ramada Plaza, where she is joined by Allen County's GOP Chairman Steve Shine. Taylor.
Yeah, good evening, Dirk and Tara. People are starting to file in here at the Ramada Plaza. Now, joining me now, like you said, is Steve Shine. Let's jump right into the race between Republican Jim Banks and Democrat Chip Codern. Do you think Banks will be able to hold on to his seat?
Without equivocation. Jim is not only well respected by his colleagues, but the voters of the 3rd District. He has brought more to this district in his term as congressman than most congressmen who have served before him. He has done so much for veterans, for the Labor and Education Committee, and also for the Armed Forces Committee. He has truly been a public servant.
All right. Now, a close race tonight is between incumbent Republican Martin Caldwell and Democrat Kyle Miller. They've battled for this seat before. Why is the 81st District such a close race?
It's always a difficult district because there's a lot of Democrat voters in there, but Martin cuts across party lines. He has done more for the workforce of this state by protecting workers' rights. He has also done a considerable amount in keeping health care costs down. And so it's important that we elect a man who is concerned about the workers in the workforce, about the elderly and their prescription costs, and to preserve the Republican majority in the Indiana House.
All right, last question in the governor's race. Now, Myers has been focusing on Governor Holcomb opening stage 5 too early. Do you think the pandemic response is going to hurt Governor Holcomb's chance for re-election?
I don't think so at all. He has found the sweet spot of where we should be in Indiana. If we would listen to Donald Rainwater, the libertarian, we'd have a public health crisis like no one has seen before. And if we would listen to Woody Meyer, we would have an economy that would be in the toilet because he would insist on everything being closed. The great compromise was reached by Governor Holcomb, and he will win resoundingly tonight.
All right. Well, thank you so much. We will have updates on all of the races later today on WANE.com. Reporting live, Taylor Williams, WANE 15 News.
Taylor, thank you. Democrats across the country, the state and in Allen County, hope the high voter turnout goes in their favor.
Of course, like the rest of us, they are keeping a close eye on the races. WANE 15's Natalie Clydesdale joins us live from Allen County Democratic headquarters in southeast Fort Wayne with Democratic Chairwoman Misty Meehan. Natalie.
Dirk and Tara, I'm live at the Democratic headquarters on Decatur Road, and as you can see behind me, things here are pretty quiet. In a normal year, people would gather for a watch party. However, to keep everyone safe with COVID, everything is virtual for this election. So right now, there's just about 3 volunteers working the phones in answering people's questions about where to vote and how to make sure they're registered. Earlier this evening, I spoke with the Allen County Democratic Party Chair, Misty Meehan, who said regardless of what happens tonight, Democrats should be proud of themselves.
We need to be proud of everything that we have accomplished. We have been out, registering voters and knocking doors and doing all the things and adapting all of these campaigns to a pandemic. And let's be real, most of everything that goes with an election, it's in person. And I could not be more proud of every single one of our candidates for the manner in which they've adapted to these unprecedented times. Social media is in the forefront, and there's a lot of less in-person events, and I think they've just done remarkable.
Hey, tomorrow,
the Alternative Watch Party can be viewed live tonight on Facebook, and that live stream starts at 7 p.m. Reporting live from the Democratic headquarters, Natalie Clydesdale, WANE 15 News.
To Natalie and our team, a big thank you. WANE 15 will be with you every step of the way this election night.
You can stick with us both on air and online at WANE.com as the results pour in. Plus, you can find them on our WANE 15 News app. Coming up next, Glenn is back after the break with